Amelia found herself in need of a few essentials one night and reluctantly decided to venture to Walmart despite the late hour. The parking lot was dimly lit, with only a few flickering lampposts illuminating the deserted area. She parked her car and took a deep breath, psyching herself up to quickly complete her shopping and return home. As she entered the store, a shiver ran down Amelia's spine. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting an eerie glow on the empty aisles. She briskly walked through the familiar layout, grabbing the items she needed, her footsteps echoing through the quiet store. As she turned into an aisle, Amelia's heart skipped a beat. A figure stood at the other end, obscured by shadows. The man was tall and dressed in worn-out clothing, his face partially hidden beneath a hood. His presence alone sent a chill through her bones. Uneasy, Amelia continued down the aisle, trying to maintain her composure. But as she passed by, the man's head turned in her direction, revealing a pair of cold, lifeless eyes. Feeling a sense of impending danger, Amelia quickened her pace, attempting to put distance between herself and the man. But no matter where she went in the store, he seemed to appear around every corner, watching her with a haunting intensity. She sought refuge among the few remaining shoppers, hoping to blend in and find safety in numbers. But as she approached them, they all turned, their faces distorted into grotesque masks of terror. Their eyes were filled with silent warning, urging her to flee. Dread consumed Amelia as she realized the horrifying truth. These people were not what they seemed. The entire store had become a nightmarish trap, with the creepy man orchestrating a macabre game of pursuit. Panic seized her as she raced through the aisles, desperately searching for an escape. Finally, she burst through the store's exit, gasping for breath in the cool night air. She glanced back, only to find the store eerily silent and still. No trace of the man or the twisted shoppers remained. Amelia stumbled to her car, fumbling with her keys and shaking hands. As she pulled out of the parking lot, she couldn't shake the feeling that the man's haunting gaze lingered, watching her from the shadows. To this day, Amelia avoids late-night shopping trips, haunted by the memory of that encounter. She wonders if the creepy man was a mere hallucination or something far more sinister. I pulled into the McDonald's drive-thru on a chilly autumn evening. The familiar yellow glow of the golden arches beckoned me, promising a quick and satisfying meal. Little did I know that this mundane drive-thru experience would soon turn into a nightmarish ordeal. As I placed my order through the intercom, a sense of unease settled over me. Glancing into my rearview mirror, I noticed a dark SUV parked a few cars behind me. Its windows were tinted, making it impossible to see who was inside. Instinctively, I shrugged it off as mere coincidence. My order was quickly confirmed, and I pulled forward to the pickup window. However, as I waited for my food, the same SUV pulled forward too, closing the gap between us. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Why were they following me so closely? The drive-thru employee handed me my bag of food, but as I glanced back, I noticed the SUV's driver window rolling down. Panic crept into my heart as a pair of piercing eyes stared at me from the darkness. I quickly rolled up my window and sped away, hoping to lose them on the road. But the SUV stayed hot on my tail, relentlessly pursuing me through the winding streets. Fear gripped me as I realized that this was no ordinary pursuit. There was something malicious about their intent, a palpable threat lurking within the vehicle. I maneuvered through the city, desperately trying to lose them. But no matter how fast I went or how many turns I made, they remained doggedly behind me, an ever-present shadow. My mind raced, searching for a solution. I decided to take a series of random turns, hoping to confuse them. As I weaved through the labyrinthine streets, I could still feel their presence, the heavy weight of their pursuit bearing down on me. Finally, I made a daring move, darting into a narrow alleyway. The SUV followed, its engine roaring with determination. Panic surged through my veins as I searched for an escape route. Suddenly, a dead end loomed before me, trapping me like a cornered animal. I slammed on the brakes, heart pounding, and scanned the area for any means of escape. But then, just as the SUV pulled up behind me, a group of pedestrians emerged from the shadows, their eyes fixed on the vehicle. They stood in a determined line, blocking the SUV's path. In that moment, the SUV's driver seemed to sense the imminent danger. With screeching tires, they executed a hasty U-turn and sped away into the night, leaving me in bewildered relief. Officer Johnson had been patrolling the quiet streets on a calm summer evening when he spotted a car that appeared to be swerving erratically. Concerned for the safety of others on the road, he initiated a routine traffic stop, activating his lights and siren. The car pulled over to the side of the road, but as Officer Johnson approached, he immediately sensed that something was off. The driver's hands trembled on the steering wheel, and their eyes darted nervously in every direction. "Evening, sir," Officer Johnson greeted, leaning down to peer through the driver's window. "I noticed you were driving a bit erratically. Can I see your driver's license and registration, please?" The driver's hands trembled even more as they fumbled to retrieve the requested documents. Officer Johnson couldn't help but notice a strange odor emanating from the car, a pungent mix of chemicals and something unidentifiable. As Officer Johnson reviewed the license, a surge of adrenaline coursed through his veins. The driver's name matched that of a notorious criminal who had recently escaped custody. He took a step back, reaching for his radio to call for backup. But before he could make the call, the driver suddenly slammed their foot on the accelerator. Tires screeched against the asphalt as the car shot forward, leaving Officer Johnson in a cloud of dust. Reacting quickly, Officer Johnson sprinted back to his patrol car and gave chase. The suspect weaved in and out of traffic, careening through red lights and narrowly avoiding collisions. The adrenaline fueled Officer Johnson's determination to bring this fugitive to justice. The high-speed pursuit took them through narrow streets, onto highways, and across county lines. Officer Johnson radioed for assistance, and soon other units joined the pursuit. The chase reached breakneck speeds, pushing the limits of both the fleeing car and the pursuing officers. As the chase continued, Officer Johnson's focus sharpened. He anticipated the driver's every move, analyzing their patterns and trying to predict their next move. The intensity of the situation was palpable, the rush of adrenaline coursing through his veins. Suddenly, at a sharp turn, the fleeing car lost control, veering off the road and crashing into a nearby field. Officer Johnson skidded to a stop, his heart pounding, as he watched the suspect stumble out of the wrecked vehicle. Without hesitation, Officer Johnson leaped out of his patrol car and sprinted towards the fugitive, drawing his weapon. The suspect, battered and disoriented, staggered to their feet and made a desperate attempt to flee on foot. But Officer Johnson closed in, tackling the suspect to the ground. With the assistance of backup officers, they swiftly apprehended the criminal, finally putting an end to the reckless chase. As Officer Johnson stood there, catching his breath and looking at the disheveled scene, a mix of relief and satisfaction washed over him. Despite the dangers and the adrenaline-fueled pursuit, justice had been served, and the streets were safer once again. Little did Officer Johnson know that this seemingly routine traffic stop would turn into a pulse-pounding chase, testing his skills and determination to protect the community. It was a vivid reminder of the unpredictable nature of law enforcement, where every encounter can take an unexpected turn.